casting a spell. Have you done one? Would you like to do one? This is my sort of introduction to the introduction of witchcraft. So I myself have gone down many paths. I started out in Druidism. I'm coming from a Roman Catholic background, raised in the Roman Catholic Church, and then sometime in my teen years I decided to explore Druidism because I'm coming from a Celtic background, so I thought maybe that would be the way for me. I went from there into Wicca, and then I went to witchcraft, and I'm going to explain the difference between the two because people often use those terms interchangeably. Now, all Wiccans are witches as well, so they identify as witches, but Wicca and witchcraft are two different things. I've also, I come from a native background, so I'm part Mohawk of the Iroquois Nation, of the Bear Clan. So I've also explored shamanism. I've explored hoodoo, and again, voodoo and hoodoo are two different things, and I can explain that in another video. Today we're focusing on witchcraft, and like I said, this is just kind of the introduction to witchcraft. So I'm going to go into it a little bit more. What I'm doing today is just setting the parameters of what witchcraft is about, because witchcraft for the most part is about growth, and often personal growth. It's not like on the movies or TV where and I know you probably already know this, where you're not casting spells and changing people into frogs. And although there can be some sparkle and some flash, there's not necessarily a lot of it, and it's not like thunderbolts coming from your fingertips or anything like that. But casting a spell is the magical part of witchcraft. And for me, a spell is very much like a prayer. And in the Catholic Church, we have prayers that we say, we have the rosary that we do, we have novenas. If you don't know any of those, please let me know if you don't know what those are, and I can do a video explaining those as well. But for the most part, that's kind of what spells are a lot like. They're not identical to that, but they're a lot like that. It's about putting your intention out there and changing the way you do things or the way you live your life so that it becomes a better life for you. You'll find the path of Wicca and witchcraft is very spiral, and most spiritual paths are, because you're always coming back around to the same issues or same events in your life, that sort of thing. And again, it's because of growth. The more you grow, if you're doing the spiral right, as I always say, the more you grow, the bigger your spiral gets. So you're not just walking in a circle, getting back to these issues all the time. You're spiraling outwards so that you take a layer off of that and you grow a little bit more from this issue. Like for me, patience is a big one. So I'm not going to go from being an impatient person to being the most patient, saintly person walking the planet. It's going to take a journey, and it's going to take a few trips around the spiral as I keep spiraling out before I hit that saintly patience kind of thing. And I might not get there in this lifetime, but I'm going to try. So getting into that, we're going to talk a little bit about paganism, because as you can see, I've gone down many different paths myself. And like I said, spells are about putting your intention out there for yourself, for someone else. You can do a spell for someone else. It is best if you have their permission first. However, much like you would say a prayer for a sick person, if someone's not well and stuff and you want to do a spell to help their journey into wellness, I personally don't see any harm in that. I do tend to ask anyways, like, is it okay if I do a spell to help your health grow? And most people don't say no, but it's always nice to know that someone's out there thinking about you as well. So that's part of the permission asking, is knowing that someone is doing that for you. Magic doesn't have to be complicated. It is very, there's a lot of ritual around it. So again, coming from a Catholic background, ritual is part of my way of being spiritual anyways. So that's part of the reason why it really appealed to me. But it can be a very simple thing. And much like other religions, it can be a quick, little thing. It doesn't have to be a whole, I'm casting a circle and la la la. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. We're going to get into that. Especially if you're right at the beginning of this kind of journey and you want to know more. But witchcraft is, magic itself is neither good nor evil. It's kind of like the weather that way. It just is. Because people always want to put a good or evil or a color like a green witch, a black magic witch, a gray witch, that sort of thing onto it. And really magic is very neutral. It, like I said, it just is. So putting a color on it or whatever, I mean, maybe you tend towards, maybe you have a green thumb and you're very environmentally conscious, so you tend towards the green witch sort of path. And we're going to talk more about the different paths of witchcraft as well. So you can put a color on your particular magic if you feel that's how you identify. But I really feel that's painting yourself into a corner. No pun intended. Because, I mean, I've done various colors of magic. So magic only becomes a color once you place a color on it. It's not a color in of itself. So magic doesn't start out as black magic, for instance. It's when you put that intention of black magic. And black isn't always evil, by the way. Black can be a very good color for ridding yourself of negativity. It can be a good color for cutting cords. And again, we're going to get into all of that in various videos. I want to try and keep some of my videos short and sweet, so I'm just kind of timing myself a little bit here. But like I said, magic can be simple or very complicated depending on which way you want to go and depending on the kind of spell you're doing. Some spells, take just a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, a couple of days, a couple of weeks. I find the more powerful spells are the ones that take time because they're a real work then, as opposed to a quick kind of thing. Not to say that the quick ones don't work, they do, but they're, quick and sweet. They're for everyday kind of things, like finding that parking spot that's in just the ideal place. Magic also is a skill. So it is a skill that you need to practice. It's a lot like piano playing. You're not going to come out of the box being able to cast these big, huge spells and have them working every time. Even I, with 30 plus years under my belt, not every spell works out exactly as I wanted it to. However, generally speaking, spells work out the way they should anyways. So for me, I leave a lot of room. I call it my this or something better. So I leave a lot of wiggle room for the universe to be able to come in and do what it needs to do that is best for me and my higher self. So that's what that's all about. And like I said, magic is a skill, so you need to practice it. And you need to practice it regularly and often. If you don't practice it, you're not going to build your skill set for magic. So, and you need to become familiar with it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Wicca and witchcraft, because like I said, a lot of people, I'm going to flip this page, because I'm using my Introduction to Witchcraft book as my outline here. So, The Witch's Way, Intro to the Craft by me. Yay. So this book is available for sale. I generally charge $24 for this book. It is full of everything. And I'm going to be doing a lot of little videos about different parts of this, because if I did it all in one big video, you'd probably be looking at a 3 or 4 hour video. So I'm just doing it short and sweet, or at least short and sweet in my terms. So the one page I wanted to show you was this page here, paganism. So like Christianity covers a lot of different religions, like United, Baptist, Anglican, Catholic. That's all Christian faith. Paganism is sort of the umbrella term for a lot of these other religions and spiritual paths. Druidism, Wicca, I think this is Buddhism, can't read backwards, Hinduism, and then the Wicca actually goes into different ones. So, and then, so the difference between Wicca and witchcraft, there is a difference, and people often don't understand it. And a lot of people that are new to witchcraft might be a little bit afraid of that term, actually owning that word witch, saying that they're a witch, saying that they practice witchcraft. So they tend to back away from that because it often will have a negative connotation to it. So people, especially people that are new to it, tend to identify as Wiccas because it sounds softer to a lot of people. I'm Wiccan. I'm a Wicca. I practice Wicca. So Wicca and witchcraft have a lot in common. However, the difference between the two is Wicca is a religion. It is an identified religion. So when you say you're Wicca, you're saying that is your religion, not your spiritual path, your religion. So it's like saying I'm Catholic, I'm United, I'm Anglican, I'm Wiccan. Those are religious paths. So when you practice witchcraft, you can actually be another religion, because witchcraft is a spiritual path as opposed to a religion. So stay with me here. So there's a lot of, for instance, Catholic witches out there. If you look at Italy or North America, there are a lot of people that identify as Catholic that practice witchcraft, because witchcraft is outside of religion. It's a spiritual thing. It's a practice. So you can be both a Catholic and a witch. Wiccans are just Wiccans. They're not, and it's not just Wiccans, but you can't be Catholic and Wicca. There's Jewish witches out there. So you can be a Jewish person and practice witchcraft, and they are out there. So that's the main difference. So witchcraft is non-religious. It's more of a spiritual path. It's a practice of manifestation, of a spiritual path of change in your life and creating goodness in your life. So is Wicca, but it is more the spiritual path. So it's a religion, it says here, blending European folk traditions with 19th and 20th century occultism. Because when it got struck from the books in the 50s, Gardner was one of the writers that published one of the very first books on witchcraft in the modern day. And a lot of his writings now influence Wicca, and he's the one that is sort of termed the creator of Wicca. So it's a relatively new religion, although it's a very fast-growing religion. But I wanted to really specify the difference. So I have sort of a chart here in my book. So there's paganism, the big circle of paganism. Wicca is fully within paganism. Witchcraft is this other circle here, because witchcraft, you can be another religion. And, a lot is shared by both Wicca and witchcraft. A lot of the practices, rituals, the way we do spells, all the same kind of thing. Wicca has dogma that you follow, much like other religions, because Catholics have dogma that they follow. So Wicca has dogma. Wicca has rules. It's not as flexible as witchcraft, because again, witchcraft is more of a practice. So there's a little more flexibility because Wicca has certain rules that you must follow. The other thing, the Wiccan read, I love that. It's beautiful. However, as much as I love it, I don't follow it. I don't follow all of it because I'm not Wiccan. I'm a witch. I'm a witch that practices witchcraft. I actually identify as a Native American Catholic witch. I have a lot of titles. So I'm, a big bundle of spirituality. But as a Wiccan, you have dogma and you have rules. And I've been to ceremonies where it's a Wiccan circle that's being followed. And I've been sort of, tisk because I didn't follow every rules I should, because again, I'm not Wicca. and they have certain steps that must be taken, much like the Catholic Mass, you know, that it goes in a certain order, they do it in a certain way, there's not a lot of flexibility. Wicca is the same way as far as its ceremonies and whatnot go. And again, like I said, the Wiccan Rede is beautiful. The threefold law does not apply to me. It does if you are Wiccan. So I explored the Wiccan religion for a while, but I knew that it wasn't quite the right fit for me. Witchcraft was the right fit, because I could still embrace my other, like my native side and my Catholic side at the same time. So now just quickly, we're going to finish up here because I'm going to talk about the types of witches, because there's a lot of different witches. So in my book, I list just a partial list. So like I said, there's the color witches, as I call them, the green ones, the gray ones, the black magic ones, you know, that sort of thing. There's also elemental ones. There's traditional witchcraft, like the traditional British witches, which took Gardner's writings and incorporated that with and blended it with a lot of Celtic belief. And a lot of witches, witchcraft and Wicca are influenced by the Celtic beliefs. Our whole Wheel of the Year, which I'm going to do another video on, is based off of the Celtic seasons and beliefs and whatnot. There's solitary witches, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about covens versus solitary. There's kitchen witches, there's hedge witches, there's garden witches, there's even dragon witches. This was new to me when I first wrote this book. I didn't know that. There's crystal witches, there's swamp witches, there's religious witches, eclectic witches. That's the one I tend to identify with if I'm going to identify with a group, is eclectic, because I do take a little bit from everyone, and I kind of take the Bruce Lee approach. I've practiced a lot of the different sectors of spirituality. I've explored a lot of the different religions, and I kind of take a little bit from everything. Now, the more you explore, I find the more you find that is the same. So we have a lot more similarities than we do differences. But just the reason I went through what is Wicca and what is witchcraft is because I want you to be able to identify yourself in the correct lingo. Don't be calling yourself a Wicca if that's not your religion, if you're not going to follow that dogma. There is a different read for, as opposed to the Wiccan Rede, there is a different read for witches who follow witchcraft, who tend to be more solitary and not practicing Wicca as their religion. I will have that available for you. Hopefully put it on my Facebook page. So yeah, there's a lot of witches, different witches out there, and the list keeps growing. The more sort of the practice of witchcraft keeps growing. There's more modern day type witches that call themselves different things as well. So the identifying features of being a witch are changing as well and morphing. So I hope you found that a little bit helpful on different things. Please leave your comments below. If you want to find me, you can find me at Goddess Garage Tarot Parlor on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Goddess Garage, and you can find me on Instagram at Lady Rose Tarot. So again, like I said, I hope you found this a little bit helpful. This is the introduction to the introduction of witchcraft. I do have my book available for $24 if you want to purchase that. Let me know. And all my links will be down below. Please give this video a like, and please subscribe to my channel so you can find out about more videos coming too. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.